All right. Today we're going to try to repair a rear master cylinder for a 1983 Honda Goldwing Aspencade. Now, a little background information on the particular motorcycle. It has 3 calipers, 2 on the front and 1 on the rear wheel, and the front caliper on the left is operated by the hand grip, your caliper, on your right hand side of your handlebar. Now the rear of the pedal on the right hand side operates this master cylinder, which applies brake and braking fluid to the rear caliper as well as the front right caliper, giving you extra braking. They do have kits that you can, and ways you can bypass it and run just to the front brakes, but unfortunately front brakes alone in wet weather is a bad idea because that's the quickest way to send your motorcycle down. So this one has to be rebuilt. Now unfortunately they don't have the actual bodies like this for sale anymore because they don't make them. It's an 83, so it's almost 40 years old, and finding a used one is virtually impossible these days. I've looked at aftermarket kits, and so far I haven't found anything that I'm confident enough that would actually take the place of this one. So let's take a look at it. Okay, this right here is this right here goes to your reservoir, which is what I'm sorry. This actually applies to your brake. This is to your reservoir. The piston moves up and down as you apply the brake pedal. It pushes in, pushes out to actuate the piston. Now, what most people don't realize is that hydraulics have been around for about 2,000 years. Archimedes actually created a screw and did a lot of work with hydraulics, so it's old technology, but it's being applied in different places. Hydraulics is one of the main reasons for brakes, and application force is one of the main reasons it's being used. Now, I've already taken apart the E-clip that holds the center plunger together and the base of the piston. Now, the problem is this bike's been sitting in storage for about 3 to 5 years, so if you can take a look, you can see there's a bunch of crap inside. Let's see if I can focus it. From the brake fluid crystallizing. And unfortunately, the piston is frozen all the way in the base. And as you can see, there's no opening to be able to take a drift pin and force it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to try a little something different. Now, they don't sell the actual bodies anymore, but they do sell the rebuild kits. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up real quick, and I have one of 3 different ideas of how to get the master cylinder out without breaking it. Now, the way this system is just set up, we're going to set a few of these parts aside since they're really not going to be used currently. But the basics are that the piston you saw here in the bottom sits here. Then a washer fits in here as such, and then this ring fits in here, and it sits inside the body in this sequence. Now, what I'm going to try and attempt to do is we're going to measure the piston, the new piston, and hopefully it's going to be very similar to size, if not identical, to the piston that's frozen. And what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to extract it using, well, another ancient technology called the inclined plane, or which is also known as a bolt, and we're going to try to use it as an extractor. That's the first attempt. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the thinnest part of the barrel of the piston, and it comes up at 3/8 of an inch. 0.375 is 3/8 of an inch. And what I'm proposing to use is this bolt, and what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole in here into the piston. Well, let's see. Where the heck did I put the new piston? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, right here. We're going to drill a hole into the top of the piston of the new one. We're going to thread a hole, and we are going to thread down as much as possible using this bolt with a nut run all the way up to the top. And then at the top, what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of aluminum rod, 1/8 inch bar stock, put it in and use it, and we're going to try to use it like a screw extractor, and we're going to try to extract it out. Now, worst case scenario is, since there is a gap due to the spring in here in the bottom, push come to shove, if we have to, I will drill all the way through and use a longer bolt and try to use the base, this point right here, as a point of force, and we'll try to ease it out this way. Third case scenario, which is the worst of the three, would be to take an aggressive side cutting drill bit at like a mill and cut the left and right side up to, but as far, as close to without damaging the inner part of the cylinder, and creating it so this way we can actually put something in there and wedge it in, crease it so it goes from a circular fashion to an oval fashion. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, well, we measured this, it's 3/8 or 3/8 of an inch here, and we're going to see what we can do with this bolt here. Okay, this bolt is 304,000 or 3/300 of an inch. So it's actually a 5/16. And again, let's see, we'll go to here. It's 0.375, so it's not going to leave us a lot of material, and we're going to have to be pretty close to the actual center to be able to make this thing work without damaging the side. I'm just going to try drilling a little bit, maybe 1/2 an inch down. If we happen to drill through and break it off, then what we'll do is we'll drill out larger, and we'll get the cup off, and we'll try to drill out down to here, and then drill farther down in and tap it. I do have the tap around here. Yep, right there. We'll tap it down farther, and the bolt does go down far enough that it'll actually hit right about here. So I've got this tap here. I've also got a bottom plug tap, but this is actually the sharper of the two. So we'll do is we'll use this one for the time being. If we have to, we'll pull out the plug tab. So let me get this thing set up in a vise and get to drilling. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I went and found, instead of using a bottoming tap, I was able to find a different tap. So this one's more aggressive, and yeah, we got this, and the tap and the thread started. Now, for those of you who've never done tapping, some people figure you can just spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. In fact, that's the wrong thing. Big chips are big problems when you're tapping. You always want to back it off, and when you're doing a blind hole, you always want to blow your tap hole out. Make sure your tap's clean as well. and then never again. Kind of like sex, it's always better to not go in dry. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm a Marine, so we're going to take this down as far as we can. Try to get the maximum amount of thread possible to pull this bugger up. Now, a lot of people seem to think that I'm a bit of a joke because I buy a lot of secondhand equipment, a lot of stuff, but my dad was an old farm boy, and one thing he taught me, his father, the rest of the elders in my family, they always taught me a true man knows how to do a little bit of everything, and in typical Marine Corps philosophy, adapt, improvise, and overcome. Okay, so now let's take a look and see just how much thread we've got. Okay, we seem to have quite a bit. So let me go get an adjustable real quick. And before I do that, let me shut the gates. Since I'm working on the porch and I don't want my doggies getting out, we're going to take the square surface of the carriage bolt and we're going to send that home and now we're going to tighten up the bolt. Okay, now fish. Okay, so now, yep, there it is. Pressure of that screw is already moving the piston. I can feel it pulling up now as we speak. So this is a simple, no muss, no fuss way of getting it out without having to hammer, bang, and sweating bullets. There it is. You see just how much crap is on that cylinder, and that's what was causing it to stay tight. Now, everything else, if you happen to have some hooks, there's some probes, there is the plastic cap, There's the spring. Yeesh. And then somewhere at the bottom is the other rubber cap. Now, you can see just how much stuff is on there. So, for those of you who want to get a brake rebuild, when I finally get this cleaned up and get everything out, we'll see about getting this thing back together again. So, until then, for all my people who ride motorcycles, mopeds, scooters, and even bicycles, handlebars up and keep 2 wheels on the ground. Talk to y'all in a little bit.